Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new, then hi, welcome to my channel. My boyfriend said that's very Curtis Connor of me, and I do think I have to agree. Today we have a video that's become a yearly thing. I do this every single year and you guys seem to always love it, but I also kind of feel like I look at my list in front of me and think, I did it again. I watched too much TV. As you could see from the title of the video, today we are doing another TV shows to watch video. I think this is my 5th video now. I've watched a lot of TV in my life and I thought this was going to be a lot smaller. I thought there was going to be maybe 10 on here. I thought it was going to be really disappointing. No. If you haven't seen the other videos, however, I'm going to read out all the ones I have spoken about before. So if I mention it now, hopefully there won't be any comments saying you should watch this even though I've mentioned it. Also, there are things that aren't on this that I just didn't like. Here we go, we're gonna try and do this as quick as we can. We have Pretty Little Liars, Faking It, Finding Carter, Skins, Awkward, Teen Wolf, American Horror Story, My Mad Fat Diary, 90210, Misfits, Gossip Girl, The Carrie Diaries, The Fosters, Orange is the New Black, Red Band Society, Breaking Bad, The 100, Dexter, Once Upon a Time, Scream, Bates Motel, How to Get Away with Murder, Prison Break, Jessica Jones, Jane the Virgin, Hannibal, Supernatural, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, One Tree Hill, Orphan Black, Gilmore Girls, Degrassi, Friends, Black Mirror, New Girl, RuPaul's Drag Race, House of Cards, Friends with Benefits, Freaks and Geeks, Shameless US, Stranger Things, The Get Down, Love, The Crown, Lovesick, Scam, A Series of Unfortunate Events, Project Runway, 13 Reasons Why, You, Me, Her, Friends with Better Lives, Full Plus Fuller House, Girl Boss, Dear White People, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, The Original, Shadowhunters, Atypical, The Mist, American Vandal, Greenhouse Academy, The Good Place, Big Mouth, That 70s Show, I was doing so well then and I messed up. Riverdale, Zumbo's Just Desserts, You, Instant Hotel, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Sex Education, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Friday Night Dinner, The Haunting of Hill House, The End of the Effing World, and Insatiable. So what we are going to do is we're going to talk about the new things I have watched and then talk about things that maybe I've mentioned before, but there's been new seasons out this year which I've watched. I may do at some point, let me know if you want to see it, a overall what my favourite TV shows of all time have been, because I think that could be quite an interesting one, like my all-time favourites, because obviously it changes over the years and what I like now and what I liked then. And so if you want to see that, please let me know down below. We are gonna start talking about TV shows that you should binge watch. First one I have here is Spinning Out. Spinning Out is on Netflix. It came out about a month ago. It's got Kaya from Skins, aka Effie. If you didn't know, I was the biggest Skins fan when I was a teenager. So as soon as I saw she was in it, I was like, yes, of course I'm gonna watch it. I wasn't too sure about it because it is about ice skating, and ice skating freaks me out. All the anxiety it gives me. But the first episode was a little bit like, what am I watching? I thought it was just gonna be like a chick flick ice skating thing, but then there was like an injury and I was like, oh my god, I can't watch this. But I'm glad I stuck it out because it's so good, like so surprisingly good. It's more about family and mental health. The main character and the mum have bipolar, which is never really shown in TV shows, and if it is, it's at a TV theatrical way of showing it rather than a real way of showing it. I got really gripped and I watched it within 2 days. I'm very good at binge watching shows within a few days. But overall, I was actually very surprised with it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but I actually loved it and I was really sad when it was over. It covered so many different topics. It was very interesting to watch. Every single episode I needed to know what happened next. It was a very good TV show and I definitely recommend watching it. Next up on the list we have The Society. Now this came out quite a while ago, so I'm really gonna have to rack my brain for this. But The Society was about a bunch of kids, like teenagers, 16, 17 I think they're meant to be, who go on a school trip. Something happens and they have to come home. But when they come home, there are no adults, there's no one around, it's just them. So they've all got to create their own society and live in a world where it's just them. So they need to learn how to fend for themselves and not rely on your parents, and there's no money involved, and It's really, really good and interesting. There's just a lot of interesting characters more than anything. The next one on my list is Cheer, which is also on Netflix. The one before was also on Netflix. So Cheer came out again like 2 weeks ago. I'm very on top of things that come out. A documentary about these cheer kids, cheerleaders, and it basically follows their journey. They're the biggest, the best cheerleaders, and it's just so interesting. I got so into it. I've now followed pretty much all of them on Instagram because I'm so into their stories and because I've never known anything about cheerleading ever in my whole entire life, and watching that was like, whoa, they're hardcore. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean, but Jerry is the sweetest person I think I've ever seen. I wish I could be more like Jerry. He's so happy and everyone loved him and he was so great, and every time something happened to him, like good or bad, I was just like bawling my eyes out. I was rooting for him the whole entire time. I loved him. Absolutely loved him. You see how much work that gets put into one routine that they do for 2 minutes 30, I think they said. And that's the only one they'll do. And after doing cheerleading at like high school or college, there is no career in cheerleading, which is so interesting. So they do their whole life towards this one thing and then they can't do it because it only lasts while they're a teenager. It's crazy, and they don't even get paid for it. It's mad. We then have Afterlife, which is again Netflix. Afterlife is written and performed, that sounds really weird, and acted by Ricky Gervais. I personally really don't like Ricky Gervais. I don't like his humour. I don't think it's funny. I think it's just really, really depressing. Afterlife was alright. It was just alright. I mean, you could definitely go watch it. I watched it within a day, me and my boyfriend. He loves Ricky Gervais. Him and his whole family love Ricky Gervais, whereas mine and my whole family, we don't like Ricky Gervais. That's how our families are split down the middle. We either do or don't like Ricky Gervais. It's basically about a guy who's depressed because that's what Ricky Gervais does best, apparently. Takes it out on everyone else kind of thing, but it does have some humour in it. There were some parts that I was like, how is this allowed on a TV show? But it's also really, really funny because my humour can be quite dark sometimes. I wouldn't say it's like at the top of my list of things you need to watch 100%, but maybe give it a watch if dark humour is your kind of thing, because it is very much dark humour. I mean, there's a season 2 I think coming out. I'm not really fussed about watching it, so I think that says a lot about the show, but it was fine. It was alright. My next one on this list is one of my favourite TV shows of all time, and I can't believe it took me till last year to watch it. The Office US. Oh my goodness, I love this show. So I watched The Office US on Amazon Prime. So if you've never heard of The Office, you may be someone who's never heard of it. It is as simple as the title. It's a bunch of people who work in an office, but it's just pure comedy genius. I know it's written by Ricky Gervais, but somehow it's funny. I think the actors really, really make it. Michael Scott is by far one of the best characters. I know he's annoying sometimes, and he's basically the boss of this whole office, and he is the biggest idiot of the whole office as well, which makes it funnier. We then have Jim and Pam, which is a whole story on its own. Angela, Dwight is one of the best characters as well. They're all just such good characters. It's such a good show. If you've never seen it, you need to watch it. It's something I will watch maybe for the rest of my life. We next have Lunatics, which is a Chris Lilly show. Chris Lilly created something called Summer Heights High. You may have seen it, you may have not, you may have seen memes about it. He's just a funny guy, and Summer Heights High is the peak of his career. I think so, because it's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It's so funny and he gets humour just right. He just plays loads and loads of different characters that he creates, and some are really funny and some of them are a little bit here and there. It's very much hit or miss because it is loads of different like sketches more than a TV show that's been put together properly like a drama or something. It is just little skits that are funny. He plays 7 different characters. My favourite ones are the Animal Whisperer, where he's a woman who can listen to what animals are saying, and it's just quite funny. And also, I can't remember what his name was meant to be, but the little kid, just stupid humour, and you watch it and you think this is a grown man pretending to be like a 12-year-old boy and hanging out with it's so funny and stupid. If you like stupid humour, definitely go watch it because it is just silly. We now move on to Derry Girls. Can't say that without an Irish accent. I mean, I can't really do an Irish accent, but you can't say it without an Irish accent. So we started watching Derry Girls a little bit later than everyone else was watching it because we've heard about it, but we didn't know much about it, but it was on Netflix. So we decided to give it a go, and we really, really, really enjoyed it. It's just a bunch of Irish girls who go to an Irish Catholic school, and there is just one boy that goes to the school as well, which makes part of the humour. It is a complete comedy, really. As you can tell, I'm very much into comedies at the moment. I like to feel happy rather than sad. Derry Girls is very much suited to pretty much all ages, I would say. Like, I know a lot of grown-ups who love it, I know a lot of teenagers that love it, and everyone in between who loves it. It's just a funny, funny show that you need to watch. There is no like actual plot to it or something I can explain to you. It's just these 4 girls that are extremely funny in real life and on the show, and then there's just one boy at this all-girls Catholic school, which just makes it funny, and he's part of the group as well. It's just a very good show that I would recommend you watching. Now we move on to Lucifer, which, to be honest, has been one of my favourite shows I've watched this year, which I didn't ever think I would say, because I'm not the Vampire Diary, Teen Wolf, like I've watched them, but I'm not the biggest fans of them. I'm not very big on mythical creatures as such, but I really, really, really enjoyed Lucifer. So I also watched Lucifer on Amazon Prime because it said it was only for Amazon Prime, but it's also on Netflix. So I think Amazon Prime are lying to me. I cannot wait for the next season. It's still an ongoing thing, as you can predict. The main guy is indeed Lucifer. He's come down to Earth, or up to Earth, should I say, because he's bored of being in hell. He doesn't want to be Lucifer anymore, so he's come onto Earth to be a human. Being a human and getting a job and love, and it's just so good. I loved it. I loved it a lot. If you do like mythical kind of things, you definitely love it. Like, full of humour, but it also made me cry at times. It was very good. It was very, very good. I haven't had a show like that in a while that was like a few seasons long and I really enjoyed it, rather than a season and I was like, oh, is that it? We then have The Bold Type, which is a Amazon Prime, I know, an Amazon Prime original. So The Bold Type is about these 3 girls that work at a fashion magazine. It's a little bit Ugly Betty, but not quite. One of the girls is Katie Stevenson. I can't remember her last name, but she was in Faking It, which is, again, one of my favourite TV shows. So I followed her and saw she was doing this, so I was like, I'm gonna watch it. And I'm really, really, really enjoying it. It's very much a teenage kind of young adult drama, where it's about these 3 girls who work at a fashion magazine, but one is a journalist, one is a stylist, and one of them is in charge of social media, and it plays a part in race, sexuality, religion, ethnicity, sexual abuse, all sorts of different things. It covers so many topics, but they do it really, really well, and not too over the top as well. I feel like a lot of shows can overdo it, or it's a little bit too graphic, which triggers a lot of people. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a very triggering show. It's just very informative. Kat, who's the social media manager of the brand, that I would love to do her job, but sadly I don't think I'll ever get there, but I would love to do her job. Speaking of like Ugly Betty, I started watching Ugly Betty for the first time in my life. I know, I'm really, really late to that as well. I started watching Ugly Betty, that was on Amazon Prime as well. Amazon Prime have some good things sometimes, but Netflix just tops it. Ugly Betty, I'm sure you all know of it, but it's about this girl who's not very pretty. it's the early 2000s, it's gonna be slightly problematic, who starts working at a fashion magazine and everyone's like, you don't work here because you dress it awfully. To be fair, they dress her awfully in the show. But it is a funny show, but there also was times where I did cry and I really got into it. I watched it over the span of a month because I was working pretty much every day at that point, so I didn't have time to actually binge it. But I really did enjoy it. Now the next one is When They See Us, which is by far the saddest thing I think I've ever watched in my life. It's basically about a case that happened, I can't remember when it was at the top of my head, where a load of black kids got done for something they didn't do. They were kids, they were actual kids. I am very aware of what can happen in this world and how awful people can be and how awful this world can be, and watching that just made me so angry and sad, and I've never cried so much watching something. And it just sucked because you're watching it and you're like, this is a real thing that actually happened to people. This isn't just a TV show that they made. This is a real thing that's still happening to this day. It's not the only case where this has ever happened. It happens probably multiple times a day. It's happened for years and years, and it's so disgusting. You kind of really need to watch it. It's something I think everyone should have to watch because some people don't get it, and some people are like, oh, but what about white racism? But it's just not a thing. I just want those people to watch this show and be like, look, I know they still would never get it, but I still want them to be like, look at this is wrong and disgusting. As I was saying, for TV shows, definitely give it a watch. It was incredibly moving. Next on my list is The Umbrella Academy. This was a show I'm still not really sure if I liked or not. It was very weird. It's a show about superheroes. I'm not really the biggest fan of superheroes, so I watched it because it was the giant hype of Netflix at that moment of time, and I didn't really quite get it, but it's just a family of superheroes and Ellen Page is in it. She is someone in the family who doesn't have any superhero powers, so she's kind of like an outsider to the family. It was alright. I mean, give it a watch if you do like those kind of things, but it wasn't my jam. We then have Bonding, which is probably the weirdest one I'm going to mention in this list. Very short, it's a very short show and it's on Netflix as well, but it's really quite good and funny. It was about a woman who's a dominatrix and her best friend finds out and he's like, I want to do that too. And it's just basically about this badass woman teaching the guy how to like do things and like not those kind of things. It's not graphic at all. It's just a fun one to watch. So if you've got like an afternoon spare and you've got nothing to watch, I'd definitely say give it a go. We then have The Politician, which is again on Netflix. It has Ben Platt in it, which I'm sure most of you would have known of. He's an incredible singer, actor. We loved The Politician. It was filmed really well. It's about this boy at school who wants to be the school president, class president, school. You know what I'm talking. I'm not American. And how one day he wants to actually be the president. I would say definitely give that one a watch. It's been one of my favourite things I've watched this year. So I just remembered another one that me and Joey watched. I think it was at the beginning of last year. On Amazon Prime, it's called Unreal, and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. It's about a reality show being made like The Bachelor. It's pretty much The Bachelor, but it's the behind the scenes stuff that you're watching where it's not real, it's completely made up. But it's where you can see them manipulating people and it's so good, full of drama. Loved it, absolutely loved it. We're upset that there's no more seasons because we really did love it a lot, but I would definitely say give it a watch if you love like reality TV, because even though it's not filmed like reality TV, you get like the behind the scenes of it and it's just so fun and interesting to watch. So now every time I watch something like Love Island, I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. We also have something I'm currently watching with Joey, and that is Glee. I know, again, I'm really late on this. I didn't watch Glee when I was 12. No. I'm watching it now when I'm 21. If you don't know what Glee is, firstly, you've been living under a rock like I have. It's about a bunch of school kids that are misfits, and they all join the Glee Club, which is a singing and dancing club. It's just a high school drama that I really enjoy. And then something that I finished literally yesterday, I just finished it yesterday and started it 2 days ago, was Looking for Alaska. Now, Looking for Alaska was one of my favourite books as a teenager. Again, it's a high school drama kind of thing, but they're at a camp, I think, or is it a school? I'm not really sure what it is. It's basically about these group of kids that aren't the popular kids, but they do pranks against the popular kids, and then stuff happens in it. I really can't say much because otherwise it would just spoil the whole thing, but I'd definitely say give it a watch, especially if you are like a teenager or a young adult if you like those kind of things like me. So now we are on to things that I've watched with new seasons. I won't talk too much because I feel like I've been sat here for about 2 hours just talking. First of all, we have Atypical. I love Atypical. Atypical is one of my favourite shows ever. I love it. So the new season I really enjoyed. I think I've enjoyed it more than the previous. Casey is everything to me. I love them a lot, the actor and the character themselves. I love the story behind it. I just love everything about the show. The show is just done perfectly. If you haven't watched Atypical, I highly suggest you go watch it. We also have Big Mouth, which came back for another season, and I personally really love Big Mouth, but this season was a little bit a step too far, I think. So it's very much dark humour. It's all about sex. It's all about these teenage cartoon, it's all cartoon by the way, cartoon boys that, and girls that are going through puberty. So it's that kind of humour, but this season just took it a step too far about halfway through the season, and me and Joey went, ooh. But I do love Big Mouth, but the second half of that last season really kind of we then have Riverdale. Good old Riverdale. I will forever love Riverdale, but all for the wrong reasons. Riverdale is by far one of the worst shows I've ever watched, but I love it for being so awful, and I think they know it's awful. It started making a better turn though. It started making a little bit of a better turn, but it's still weird as hell, and I still don't really know what's going on, but I do enjoy it. It's very weird. And I will carry on watching it because I need to know what's going to happen next, because with the show, you actually never know. We also have You, which has recently come out. The second season was surprisingly just as good as the first season. I kind of thought You was going to be one of those first season, really good, and then you can't really top it. I feel like, though, now after the second season, it will start to go downhill just because I don't really know what else they can do with it. But I really enjoyed the second season. I loved Love. I thought she was a really good character, and the whole thing was just done really well. I was gripped. It's very Dexter to me, and Dexter is one of my favourite shows ever, so I love it. I love it a lot. We also have another season of Sex Education, which I literally finished the other day. I love this show a lot. Sex Education is the show. It's the show. They cover so many topics in that show. It's ridiculous. As you can tell, it's about sex education, but imagine watching that show as a young teen. It would be so amazing to grow up with something like that. I wish I grew up with something like that. I grew up with Tumblr. That's how I found out anything about sexuality. The second season was just as amazing as the first one, if not a little bit better. I really got into it. And there is a very important scene in it about how women, just on a day-to-day basis, pretty much get sexually assaulted, but they did it so well. It wasn't over the top, it wasn't screaming it in your face, it was such a casual conversation, because it kind of is such a casual conversation because it happens to pretty much every woman in the world. They also mentioned asexuality, which I am, so I was like, ah, I've never had representation before. This is interesting. They didn't quite represent me in it though, but I'm not going to fault them on it because even saying asexuality is a step that I thought would never come around because I just found it on Tumblr one day and I was like, oh my goodness, I thought I was weird, this is me. So having it in a mainstream show is incredible, which means more people can actually look it up and realise that they too can feel that relief of, oh my goodness, I'm normal. We also had another season of Insatiable, which is just as weird and chaotic as the first season. Me and Joey really like Insatiable because it is so weird and dramatic. Like overly dramatic, but they know it. The second season took a different turn than we thought it was ever gonna go when we started the show, which I kind of like because you just never expect it. It was just as funny, just as weird, and I'm excited for the next season, to be honest. I really enjoy it. We also have 13 Reasons Why. You know what? This season was alright. Joey had never ever watched 13 Reasons Why before. He didn't watch the first season or the second season. The second season was really quite... it was a bit much. Joey saw the trailer and he was like, I kind of really want to see this season. It looks really good. And it was alright, you know? It was better than the second season, that's for sure. But I think it does need to stop now. The show needs to chill out. We don't need to know any more about who's killed who or anything. It's done now. And then the last one I have on here, I know, we're finally at the last one. I've got the new season of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. While I'm filming this, it's coming out tonight, so I actually cannot tell you. I'll probably write it in a description down below, so if you want to know what I thought of it, just go down there, because I'm filming this a week in advance, so I would have seen it. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video and it's given you a little bit of inspiration of what you should watch next. Let me know down below what else I should watch. One thing that I will not watch because I just can't take it is Don't F With Cats. I know it's a huge thing, but I don't think I could watch something like that. So if you're gonna suggest it, please don't, because I'm not gonna watch it. But yeah, if you made it this far, congratulations. I can't believe you've made it this far. I can't believe I've made it this far. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you enjoy them and I can definitely do more of these in the future, especially if you want me to do an all-time favourites, a film version. Tell me what you want to see. And also hit subscribe button because I do upload 2 times a week on this channel, from vlogs to sit down videos to makeup to fashion to pretty much anything that you want to see. I've probably got it on my channel somewhere. But yeah, I really hope you did enjoy this video and hopefully I will see you in the next one.